I don't have a bit or like a joke like I usually have. I'm just gonna try this. This might work. Oh God, no! I'm being sucked into a video game. Ah! And it's Jumanji: The Next Level.
Jumanji: The Next Level is the next Jumanji. Get it? Because it's a video game.
A lot of people were really surprised at how good 2017's Jumanji turned out to be, myself included. It was a lot of fun, good action, cast were great chemistry. So the question is, now that you have a strong foundation set and you have a sequel coming, what do you do? Do the same thing again? Really? It kind of has the same problem a lot of big sequels have when they're not really sure where to go with the story. They just kind of go, oh my God, it's all happening again!
I think it's happened again.
Yeah, so story-wise, Jumanji Next Level isn't going to get any real points or creativity. It's the same thing. I was hoping, we've seen in the trailers that Jumanji, of course, as we saw in the last movie, the game was broken, and it's been pieced together again, and the game is broken. I was hoping we'd see a bit more impact there, maybe some glitches, what's wrong with the game, but really it only affects the character selection process, which is kind of disappointing. So if you've seen anything about this movie, you know that Danny DeVito is now The Rock's character, Gravestone, there we go. Danny Glover is Kevin Hart's character. Fridge, our character from the last movie, is now Jack Black. And Martha is now, again, Ruby Roundhouse, Karen Gillan. And a lot of this casting is a lot of fun. The Rock doing a Danny DeVito impression is pretty great. It's great seeing Danny DeVito in a big movie again, doing a bit of comedy. You know, it works really well. And it has a bit of charm to it. Danny Glover's in the film, of course. Great seeing him as well. Kevin Hart's impression of Danny Glover is a highlight. It's just a lot of fun. Getting to see The Rock and Kevin Hart play these two different characters is really great. Jack Black as Fridge, also pretty fun. It's nice to see them at least do something different. It's a shame Karen Gillan didn't get more to do. She's just really playing the same character. And that's a little bit disappointing. And the other thing is that it feels like at times it falls back a bit too much on predictability of it. The whole thing of these old guys in video games. What's going on? Is this a video game? What? A lot of that happens, and it kind of uses that joke a bit too many times that it wasn't really that funny to begin with. Of course, Spencer and Bethany, also the kids from Reality, are also in the movie, but I won't say who they play. But in general, the cast are phenomenal again. Great fun. They, of course, have great chemistry. And it's nice to see them mix it up a little bit. I just wish that they'd mix it up a bit more. Now, as for new casts, there isn't that many new people in it. Obviously, I mentioned Danny Glover and Danny DeVito. And, yeah, you know, they're kind of fine. But, of course, they're in reality, whereas most of the movie takes place in the video game. In the context of the video game, we have Awkwafina. I like Awkwafina. She just didn't necessarily have much to do, but she was enjoyable enough for the film. And we have Rory McCann, who played the Hound in Game of Thrones. He was in Hot Fuzz. He's the villain. I don't think that's saying too much or giving too much away. Look, let's be honest. The villain in the first Jumanji movie was pretty vanilla, pretty forgettable. This one's slightly better. I mean, you don't really need much in the way of a villain. It is a video game villain. Most of the time, video game villains aren't great. But he's a bit better. I did enjoy him. I found him a bit more entertaining. He had a bit more interaction with the cast. And yeah, that's one aspect in which the film definitely improves a little bit. But the broad strokes of the story are the same. They have to get MacGuffin and put it somewhere, and then they can get out of Jumanji. And it's just kind of the same in that regard. And that's not a bad thing. But the problem is that the movie feels very reluctant to even embrace new ideas. There was a moment where it actually felt like they were about to mix things up, get fresh, and I was like, really good. They're going to make things different. This is really enjoyable. It's giving a certain character more to do when I felt they had nothing to do. And then they just reverted back to the way it was. Which is kind of a shame. It really feels like the movie is afraid to try something too different. And what you really want out of a sequel is more of the world, and for it to kind of expand on our characters, give us something a bit new. And it doesn't do that. There are a few new elements introduced into the game. One particularly noteworthy. They have new abilities, the characters, as we've seen in the trailers, but there's not much to these new abilities, quite frankly. It's just a case where we have the same movie. Now, that's not bad, because the last Jumanji was very entertaining, and the humour is what shines through in this, and the cast getting to play a few different characters makes this very entertaining all the same. As much as I'm kind of tearing into the story for being fairly similar, there is some nice kind of emotional beats, kind of drawing comparisons to the real world and their characters' avatars, which is quite nice. It was a little bit more unexpected, because a lot of it involves kind of, the characters Danny DeVito and Danny Glover have these kind of emotional arcs, which I didn't really expect. I kind of felt like they were just going to write it off as comedy, and they do for a lot of the time, which is, it kind of comes out of nowhere, some of the emotional beats, but it was nice that it gave it that extra bit of oomph that the story really needed. One aspect I feel it also steps up in is the action and set pieces. There's a bit more kind of combat in it. It's quite well shot, and it's interesting because you're playing with kind of sort of video game physics, which is a lot of fun. There's kind of a chase scene in cars and dune buggies involving ostriches, which is a lot of fun. See where they're kind of very tensely kind of running away from a horde of monkeys. And I would also say the ending, I think, is a bit better than the first movie. For a few reasons. For one, in the last film, it felt a little disconnected, the ending. It felt like the characters were able to all of a sudden kind of do anything. I didn't feel as invested in it. This one, I thought the ending worked a bit better on a human level. I think it just worked. It clicked a lot better. It felt like everyone had something to do that was of equal merit. So I think the ending of this was actually better than the original's end. Quite honestly, there isn't much else to say about Jumanji Next Level. It's a film that is somewhat set in its ways, in that you have many of the same elements involved, and it's kind of disappointing. You're never going to really be surprised by the film, but it's a very entertaining movie. There's just enough difference in there for you to have some fun with it. The cast are hilarious, seeing them portray new roles in some cases is a lot of fun. I think the action is slightly better. The ending is really, an improvement, I would say. Not that it's a fantastic ending or anything. It does just enough for it to be worth seeing, is what I'll say. It's more Jumanji. It very much so. It doesn't feel like a new Jumanji. It feels like more Jumanji. It sort of just feels like a case of a movie where they weren't sure what to do with a sequel, and considering they were had 2 years to get this out, they were just like, let's just do the same thing again. We've seen this in movies time and time again. Now, I will say, I'm guessing they want this to be more and more Jumanji movies, and it does sort of set up for some interesting possibilities. That would be a bit different. I won't say any more on that. But for what this movie is, look, you're not going to expect anything different. In fact, you probably shouldn't. If you've seen anything advertising this, they kind of felt like they had to get the cast in there again somehow, so that means they kind of have to retread a lot of stuff. But it's just different enough to skate by, and it's undeniably charming. The cast have great chemistry. It's nice seeing the actors getting a chance to sort of portray new characters, especially when it's actors we know like Danny DeVito and Danny Glover. And yeah, it's familiar, but it's funny, it's entertaining. This is a popcorn movie. I don't know what you would expect from it otherwise. But if you do go to see it, you'll undoubtedly have a good time. And if you like the last Jumanji movie, this is more of the same. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. What did you think of Jumanji? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe, because I cannot spell cult without you. Oh wait, I'm still in Jumanji. My goal, my mission to get out of Jumanji, I had to return this object to over there. So I'm in the real world. Jumanji. Now I'm in the real world. You have to say the name because I'm stuck into a video game. That was the story I was telling. Anyway, I got other videos to make. I gotta go.